Hi, it's November 2nd, and today is the first day of my November challenge, which is to get back into running form, and to get to the point where I am comfortable running a 10K. So months and months ago, I was running really regularly when the weather was nice, and at least 3 times a week. It was kind of my thing. And in fact, on my 43rd birthday, June 21st, I ran a 10K without stopping, which I felt really good about. But as the weather in southeastern Pennsylvania has gotten colder and it's darker in the morning, which is my preferred time to run, I have to say I've let it fall by the wayside. And it's been a couple weeks since I ran at all, which I don't feel good about. So for this month, I'm going to challenge myself, get back to basics, and get back into running regularly. So I'm going to focus on process goals. So my goal is just to get out there and do it at least 3 times a week, in between my boxing and skating and other things that I'm doing. More if I feel so inclined. It also was really helpful for me when I got started to do a Couch to 5K program. So I'm going to do a 10K program to help with my motivation. And I initially was going to start, it's a 14-week program. I was going to start at like week 10 because I was like, oh, I should be able to run most of this pretty easily. And then it was becoming like something in my head that I was dreading. And I was like, what am I doing? Why don't I start with a goal that will feel good and, dare I say, easy, I hope. And I'm going to start at the beginning and just see how it goes and how I feel. So this was my first day, and I'm at the windows out here. So maybe you can see, maybe you can't see, that it's pretty gusty today, but it is also sunny for the first time in a long time. I'm trying to get out there and just accept if it's cold, well, I'll be cold until I get warmed up. So I have running gloves, I have something to cover my ears. You can see my face is sweaty. So, it's like that saying, pain is inevitable and suffering is optional, so it's going to be what it is. It's just how committed am I to doing it, and I want to be committed, so I'm doing it. So day 1 checked off. I have adapted my running time. I'm going to try to do it over my lunch, or take a break at some point in the day, checking the weather, what's kind of the warmest part of the day, and try to plan ahead so that I'm getting the time in when it's not actively raining, because that makes a big difference. So first one was not bad. I actually really enjoyed being out in the sun. I always feel like you see so much more when you're running. Like, I saw that the fuzzy caterpillars, woolly bears, what we call them, or I called them as a kid, are out, so I helped some of those cross the roads. I was able to save some worms because it rained quite a lot yesterday. I was actually going to start yesterday, but got all dressed and then it was raining pretty heavily, so I said no, that is not the way to set myself up for success. So I feel really good that it's out of the way, so I'm gonna hold on to this feeling. Yeah, hooray. It's Thursday, December 5th. I might have to check that. It's before I go to boxing, and I came to the park for a run, and it's kind of creepy and foggy, but also really neat. The moon is still out. There's a lot of weird animal poop on the trail. I'm enjoying myself. It's also a little bit misty. Hey, this is me. It's a misty morning. The sun's not quite up yet, but it's getting there. That's cool, huh? It's November 20th, week 5, day 1. and it's a beautiful day. It's like 66 degrees. It's like 3 o'clock, and it's been going pretty well in terms of getting back into running. I was running more days earlier in the month. I ran every day that I was away for a long weekend, and it's been feeling pretty good. We've kind of headed back into a warmer snap. It's not normally 66 degrees in November in southeastern Pennsylvania, but kind of lucked out. So it's been going well. Having easy wins at the outset was definitely beneficial, I think, for me. And now I'm going to stop recording so that I don't get run over. I'm just in the 5-minute warm-up walk. So I wanted to sort of wrap up my lifestyle experiment for the month of November of 2020 and say, sort of in summation, I didn't have as many clear sort of goals with this experiment, and I even was wondering if it was cheating because, I mean, I took up running earlier in the year, so this is my second ambition, and I'll link to the first if you're interested. But overall, my goal being to go ahead and run most of the weeks, or maybe I said 3 times a week. I'll have to review that. But I did hit my goal of running on average 3 times a week. I ran 15 times in the month of November. And when I look at what the stats are for that, according to our friends over at 10K Runner, it somehow seems like it should be more. Like, according to them, it was only 12.74 miles, and it was 7 hours and 37 minutes, and it was 15 of 42 runs that they recommend. So the numbers aren't huge, but I have to say, for me, emotionally, I guess, those were huge miles. It felt really good to get back in a place where I was doing something that I feel good about. And to a lot of people, if you say that you're a runner, and I always kind of have a little bit of imposter complex when I do, because I'm relatively casual about it, I guess. People make a face and say, "Oh, was there anyone chasing you?" or whatever. But I sincerely do love running, and I made a list that I'll share with you about why I did this challenge a second time and why I love running. So first, I process in my head that running is something that's good for me. So when I am doing it actively, I feel like I'm taking care of myself. And it's like, by the fact that I'm exercising the self-care, I feel in turn, it sort of fosters the feeling in me that I'm someone who's worth doing good things for. And in part, I think that's because of the really pervasive good feelings I have after a run. Even like during the process of a run, like when I know I'm on the second half, when I've heard the little voice in my headphones say that, you're halfway. There's a feeling that comes from that, knowing that you're on the downhill, and the cool down walk that I take afterwards. All of those are really good feeling. And especially if I run towards the beginning of the day, I feel like I feel so good the rest of the day. Like I already like fought a battle for the first half of the day. So whether that's endorphins or, placebo or whatever, I'll take it. The third reason that I really love running is the sense of purpose. And in particular, I find when I'm doing a challenge like this to myself, or I'm working a program,
that I have a sense of sort of larger purpose, big picture, that's separate from other things going on in my life, whether it's, a global pandemic or feeling freaked out about work or whatever it is, that it gives me something to focus on and a goal to work towards. The next reason is something that a friend told me when I was having a really hard time in my life, and shout out to Dennis. I don't know if he even remembers telling me this, but um, I don't know if it was 8 or 9 years ago at this point, maybe not that long. Regardless, um, he told me that when he was going through a similar situation, he took up running, and he encouraged me, whether it was running or whatever, to do something that I thought was amazing or impressive as something to focus on. And thank you, Dennis. That was really helpful. Even if I didn't take the advice in the same way as you at the time, it's something that I've thought about as time goes on, and have actually even thought about contacting him and saying, but I haven't talked to him in years, so that feels weird. Fifth, running is hard, and that's something I really love about it. I think in part because it makes it something that I sort of feel amazed that I am doing when I'm doing it. Or when I look back, even as I was watching this footage, like I felt amazed at myself that I was trying again after getting away from it for a few weeks. Like I feel like that impresses me. Um, and it's always hard. Like that's that's the thing about it. Like I mean, when you look at your progress, you can see over time like, oh, this thing that was hard before is maybe not quite as hard, or I can run farther, or I can do more, my pace is better. But as long as you're continuing to push yourself, it's always going to be hard. Um, and sort of as like sub points off of that, because it's hard, I feel like it's meditative, that it forces me to be in my body, um, to be present in what I'm doing so that I can get through it. I also find that it's so hard that it makes you focus on what you can do. So you can, I am constantly bargaining with myself. Like the first 10 or 15 minutes can be really challenging just to keep myself moving. Um, and I'll add clips where like my breathing is hard. Like I don't, I can remember as I rewatch these clips, like thinking, I'm not sure this is the way I'm supposed to sound, but doing it. So, focusing what I can do and sort of that bargaining with myself where like, I'm like, okay, you can stop, or you can, at the base, if you get to the bottom of this hill, then you can walk until you catch your breath going up the next one, or you can just run to the stop sign and then you can walk for 30 seconds, or just get to the mailbox or the tree or whatever. Um, it definitely has been something for me that, I mean, I feel like this is maybe like a subroute or a repeat of some of my other points, but if you've ever been in any 10-step program where they talk to you about self-esteem coming from esteemable acts, I feel like it's an esteemable act. Like it's something that I admire, that amazes me. So that's my callback to the point from my friend Dennis saying, do something that feels amazing to you. This feels amazing to me. It's something that I feel like builds my sense of self-worth. And I think I quote Sean Acor from his book, The Happiness Advantage, a lot. But one of the things he talks about in terms of building happiness in your life is exercise. And it's because he says that exercise helps you build the connection between actions and consequences. And I feel like I can see that. And I'm very grateful that I have this footage, because I can know something intellectually, but revisiting it really does help build that connection for me. And I am at my best, I feel like, when I am actively running. And then finally, the thing that I probably is obvious as I watch these things going forward is that I love the time that it builds in for me to be outside and to take active notice, actively observe the natural world around me. I don't know how well you can see this, but there's little fox feet. Little footprints from one patch of grass to the other. So whether it's, so many things I feel like I've seen over the past year by being outside I wouldn't have seen or wouldn't have noticed otherwise. I don't know if you can see these, but I've been running through clouds of mayflies. And even in this month of December that we're in now, I'll say honestly, I have not been spending nearly as much time outside, and I miss it as I watch this. I have seen so many cool things as far as scenery and landscape and wildlife, and I love it. And I'd encourage you, if you've never considered taking up running, even if it's in the dead of winter, give it a try. So thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you're a runner, any tips or tricks to get through the winter months if you do, because I'm struggling. I'm not a fan of the cold. If you like this video, give it a like. Feel free to share it and subscribe and hit the bell if you'd like to help my channel. Have a good day or a good night. Have a good run.